Folks, how are we doing today? All right. So today we are continuing the series of payout calendars, payout schedules, payout sheets. And today we'll be doing Amplify's payout distributions for the month of November. We're going to be looking at QDVO and DVO, which are two ETFs that I do really like from Amplify. They're great funds. One of them has a little higher income and a stronger total return. The other one has a or lower yield than we're accustomed to in the channel, but still really great overall total return for the year. Plus, they have a lot more of a conservative strategy. So let's look at the payouts across both of these ETFs. Let's just jump right into it. All right, guys. So first and foremost, the ETFs that we will look at today are QDVO and DVO. All right, and these are both from Amplify. They both have nuanced strategies that focus on a combination of growth and income, and they've done a really good job since inception for both of these funds. Now, Devo is a much more conservative player where they do tactical covered calls and then also ride just the basic dividends from some funds that they have under their holding sheet, whereas QDVO, I believe, writes a higher volume of covered calls on the selected assets, but also, has as a bunch of assets that have high growth potential. Looking at those holdings for QDVO, it's some of your tried and true tech names like Apple, Nvidia, Microsoft, Alphabet, Broadcom, Meta, Tesla, Visa, AMD, you name it. So very high into tech, whereas Devo has a more conservative approach. While they do have tech, they have 24 holdings under their book, and they have, again, some tech, Microsoft, but Caterpillar, more conservative blue chip value company, JP Morgan, Visa, Home Depot, McDonald's, Apple, Amgen, Merck, Walmart. So a mixed bag. I think they have P&G here, Coca-Cola. These are high dividend players. Verizon. So they have a mixed bag of both, tech names here like an Apple and a Microsoft, but also more blue chip dividend funds, and that allows them to yield, the yield that they have, which is 4 or 5%. Not anything to write home about. Not one of the biggest yields that we've seen, but their total return is really strong, and their growth over time has been really, really consistent. In fact, I believe they've certainly beaten SCHD. I'll double check that math, but I'm almost certain they've beaten SCHD and HDV and a lot of the other dividend players with their strategy. All right, so looking at the payouts for the year so far and focusing on the last payout, which was November, looking at QDVO, and guys, you can have access to this calculator. It will be available via the Patreon. All you got to do is jump in, sign up to the Patreon, and you'll have access to this. And also, guys, if you can, sub to the channel, subscribe to the channel. Only a small percentage of of my audience is sub to the channel, so I really would appreciate a sub, and it does validate what we're doing here. All right, so with this structure, you can adjust, and with this sheet, you can adjust the shares as per usual. Should you want to do 1,000 shares, or should you have 500 shares? However many shares you have, you can adjust accordingly. Let's say we have 2,000 shares of QDVO, and for Devo, let's say we have 2,500 shares of Devo. All right, and that would be the current price is $30. The value on QDVO is 60K for 2,000 shares. And the year-to-date price return for QDVO has been 10%, guys. So not including their dividends that they've yielded, they have delivered a 10% price return, guys. And we are always looking for covered call ETFs with high price appreciation. And I'm proud to say that Amplify is doing a great job in that respect. Looking at their latest payout, it was 27 cents. And if you had 60K, you would have yielded $500 for the month. And that actually reflects a 38% growth from January, guys. So, from January's payout to November's payout, guys, 38% growth, which is phenomenal. They're doing a year-to-date yield of almost 9%, 9% while providing a price return of about 10%. So a great combination there, and trailing 12-month yield of almost 10%. So almost 10 and 10. and that's almost a 20% total return. Right now, it's 18%, 19%. Likely by the end of the year, we should be above 20%. I don't have a crystal ball, but likely with their schedule, they can probably hit 20% yield. All right. So if you would have had, 60K in this for the year so far, you would have gotten a 5K payout. Again, this is a combination of the total return player plus your income, guys. I want stable and growing NAV. I can't say that as many times as I can. I cannot say that enough. Ultimately, we want growing NAVs, and this is one of those ones that is doing so. Certainly they're riding on the backs of Nvidia and Apple and Microsoft and the Fang and whatnot. So that's fine by me. The NAV has been growing, and we're seeing a great strategy with their subset of holdings that they've selected. All right, guys. Similarly with Devo, we've put down here 2,500 shares, priced $45 today. The value for the 2,500 shares is going to be 114K, and their price return for Devo is 12%, guys. So look at what SCHD has done. I mean, SCHD price return, guys. I mean, they've done 1% year to date, and they're down 6% over the past year, over the past 5 years, 27% price return. Devo, 40% price return over the past 5 years, and over the past year, 7% over the past year to date, 12%. So they're growing really strong, plus a healthy dividend, guys. The dividend is a little smaller, right? 4% dividend for year to date, and likely by the end of the year, it's going to be 4.5%. But their dividend is growing, at least from these time periods, right? From January 1 to November, we have a 26% growth, which is phenomenal, guys. I mean, it's a reflection of certainly the underlying assets that they have selected. They're able to yield more covered call optionality on it, and they might be price appreciating more. And with that, they can shave off the appreciation and pay it back to your income. It's really that's what's happening, portion at least. So should you have this asset for the total year, you would have gotten a payout of almost 5K on 114K. Again, not as strong as, of course, the yield on QDVO and some of the yields that we see from T-SPY or QQQI, but still really, really strong relative to the total return, right? Because here our total return with a conservative bunch of stocks is 17%, of which we have a 12% price return and we have a 5% yield, guys. So this is a more indexed ETF to price return, but guys, 16%, 17% price return, I am not complaining. 18, 20% price return on QDVO, I'm not complaining. I know on this channel we index more towards the income-oriented ETFs, but DVO Devo is something to look at as well. I like it because certainly the whole every asset under the books is not being written in terms of covered calls. Covered calls are not being written on the full book. They're letting those just dividend players, dividend kings like a PNG, like a Mark, just ride and yield those dividends, and they're likely running calls on probably some of the tech names. In the holdings right now, I couldn't really see which ones they're writing calls on. Maybe at this point in the year, they're not writing calls on any of the book, right? So I think they have a dynamic strategy, and today it's just purely riding on the dividends plus the price appreciation. All right. And so that's it for this. You guys will have this in the payout calculator, but I did want to bring up one other thing, and that is I wanted to speak to this company called Monarch. Guys, I personally use this. I've been using it for years now. And in the description, I have a great discount for you on 50% off your first year with Monarch using the code Monarch VIP. And again, this link will be in the description, guys. I think with any good financial strategy from an investment standpoint, you need a complementary budget strategy, guys. And this is by far the best budgeting app I have used. I used Mint in the past, and I've used others. And for me, Monarch works so good All the integrations run seamlessly. Get loaded in fast. You can load in your dividend income in. You can see your total net worth. But what is the most powerful thing is looking at its tracking mechanisms, and I'll show you like its tracking mechanisms for all of your transactions that can be easily categorized and then set up to understand exactly what you were spending every month and every year. And am I spending too much relative to my savings or my income? Do I need to pull back in certain areas? And this gives you a great lens into, here's my housing costs, here are my utilities, here's my food, my grocery costs, here's my going out spending. All this stuff gives you this perfect picture with Monarch in a seamless platform, and then you can see kind of your month to month trajectories. You can set up goals, which I think they need to improve on. They need to improve their goals because the goals thing isn't amazing. This is the budget page that gives you the lens into all the different categories of spending that you have. So if you notice you're spending too much on fitness, you have too many subscriptions, you can cut that back. And it gives you a great understanding of, again, your income, all the spending that you have, and then the leftover amount that you want to budget towards saving, right? Um, you can see it on a daily basis. You can see it on a monthly basis. What can I say about this? You can customize this. Again, I use this on a daily basis. I look at it all the time. It's sort of an addiction, but it's a positive, healthy addiction because I'm looking at it and monitoring it and ensuring that my financial strategy is staying on course. And without saving my income every month, saving a bit of it, of course, you're going to have expenditures, but you want to ensure that every single month you are putting money away so that I can invest, so that you can put it towards QDVO and DEVO. All right. So without savings, you'll never get there. And without a lens and transparency into your expenses, you will never be able to fully save. And maybe some people use, Google Sheets or Excels or other platforms, but I'm telling you, Monarch is worth a try. So, guys, click the link in my description for a link to this great discount, 50% off. I think it's going to be $50 for the year. So that's a great, great discount to get this platform, guys. Let me know what you think. And if you have Monarch outside of that, guys, sub to the channel. All the best and cheers.